Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast, a place to discuss pain, passion, and pursuits.
Let's get it. I want to feel alive.
Breathe.
Make some moves.
Protect the throne. This is Sexy Freedom Media Podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Sexy Freedom Media Podcast. It's your host, Helen Edwards and
January Liddell. Aloha.
Welcome to our podcast. And before we get started on today's amazing topic, we'd like for you to subscribe, share. If you've liked any of our posts, if you like this one, definitely share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and Facebook, Sexy Freedom Media. And please leave us a review after this. We appreciate it. January, what are we talking about today?
Woo! Okay, today we are talking about feeling abundant even when we're broke.
Oh yeah, this is a huge subject, especially, for people even myself, when I've been in those situations of not having the funds or overdraft in my bank account. I remember those times, or having a broke down car or having no car, and wondering, how do people do it? How do they get from a place of broke or scarcity, overdraft? How do they get to abundance and prosperity? So January, you wrote down some amazing tips. Let's go over the 5 tips and then we'll kind of dissect them one by one.
Sweet. All right. So everybody get out your pen, your paper, and let's start writing this list down. All right, here we go. Number 1, make a blessed list. Number 2, change your mindset. Number 3, brainstorm action steps. Number 4, take action. And number 5, feed your mind positive money verbiage.
I love it. All right, let's talk about number 1. Make a blessed list. I like that.
So I love it too. I learned this in a class to actually put pen to paper. There is something magical about putting pen to paper that just makes things come to life. So writing that blessed list, there's actually a quote. I'm gonna read that quote. It's from my affirmation app. We often take for granted the very things that most deserve our gratitude. And that's by Cynthia Ozick. And I love that because sometimes when we are thinking about what we're lacking, we forget that we have a nice bed to sleep on. We forget that we have hot showers. We forget that we have clean drinking water, things that we often take for granted. That actually deserve our gratitude, because there are places in the world like the Philippines where there is no hot water, and some people don't have beds. They sleep on the floor, or they sleep on the ground. So writing that list, pen to paper, and writing the list of gratitude is vital, because then you get to see, oh my gosh, you're rich. You're rich, bitch. You're rich because you get all this stuff.
So true. So true. I remember my mom used to have us at the end of the day say what we were thankful for, or when we were riding in a long car ride, she'd go, all right, one by one, what are you thankful for? Or we'd have to write it down and color it in, make it super artsy, and then hang it on the wall. So that way we were reminded of our blessings. And I love this idea. I like that you called it the blessed list. Some people can call it the gratitude journal, or what are you grateful for today, or just writing down thoughts of gratitude attitude. So I really like it because, we are blessed if we kind of break it all down and look at what you said, the smallest things of having a bed. And for me, that's pretty big, because as somebody who wants to attract more in my life, you've got to be thankful for what you already have.
Yes, and I feel once you write everything down, because there are moments where I'll just keep writing and writing. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize all the things that I actually have. Sometimes when we focus on on things that like, oh, we compare ourselves to somebody else. We compare ourselves to, you know, people that we see on Facebook. Whew. Facebook and Instagram sometimes can be like the thief of joy. Okay. So you write that blessed list and then you look at it, and that this is going to be a daily habit. Okay. So when you write that blessed list, then your perspective shifts, and now you have that abundant feeling because you wrote that blessed list. So we're not focused on our lack, but we're focused on all the blessings that we do have. What is that saying? Count your blessings. There's count your blessings. What is that saying, Helen?
Blessed, not stressed.
Too blessed to be stressed.
You're blessed to be stressed. Yeah, one of the things that I do every morning, it's kind of like a routine or a ritual, some people call it, is I always grab my tea and I walk outside and I talk to the universe. I talk to the source, the creator, the great divine, and say, hey, thank you. Thank you. And I start just expressing gratitude for what I already have and what I believe is coming to me already, as if I already have it. So I try to do both. And I try to have this more intimate conversation because I'll admit I'm not somebody who likes to put pen and paper a whole lot unless I'm writing down all my goals and checking off goals that I've done. But I do enjoy going outside and expressing it and putting that vibration through my vocal cords out to the ether, out to the universe, and knowing that it's just going to boomerang back to me.
Yes, speaking it out loud. I mean, that is key, you know. So for me, it's both, right? So it's writing it and speaking it out loud. You know, for me, I pray, and a lot of the times when I pray, I thank God, for everything. And I know last week we were talking about, how we can transfer this onto children. And I'm always speaking about kids, and I'm speaking about kids because we gotta be the example, right? Gotta be the example for our future generations to come. So when I think about everything that we're doing here on the podcast and we're sharing, a lot of the times I'm always like, all right, let's transfer this onto the children as well and make sure they know, hey, you got to do this, because then that'll uplift everyone else, right? So yeah, so blessed list. Number 2, change your mindset. And we've been talking everything about money this whole January, which is awesome. So change your mindset. There's a phrase: when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Helen, what's your thoughts?
Oh my God. So when you're in a state of I don't give a fuck or I don't give a shit because life is just falling apart around me, and you start thinking that, all your financial things in life are just crumbling down around you, and you're starting to feel like you're hitting rock bottom. Like I said, I've been somebody who has been, I want to say, broke. In my definition of broke, it could be different for everybody else, but for my definition of broke at that time, when I was in that headspace of woe is me, my definition of broke was overdrafted in my bank accounts, money coming in, but the money coming in, it was already gone before I can even put it towards food. It was just basically basic needs and like a rent and bills for the month. So it was like, where's the money for food at this point? And it was a struggle. It was a struggle to have a positive mindset. And one of the things that I learned personally that changed my mindset was I'm looking at all of these wealthy people and thinking, how did they do it? How did they do it? And if you go through any story or listen to any story of any successful person, they will tell you it starts in your mind. It starts with that change of attitude. It starts with that change of perspective. Like January said, it's the shift change. It's the gratitude. So unless you change what's going on inside, everything outside is still going to feel like it's falling apart.
So I have a story to share. So when I first moved to Hawaii back in 2000, I came here with $200 in my bank account. So $200, that is completely broke. That is straight up broke. Okay. So, and I came with the notion that I actually can't legally work because I don't have a social security card. So yes, I came here with $200. Yes, I came without a social security card, and that's a whole other story. Um, I'm like, what am I going to do? Um, I had one thing, and that one thing is I had faith in God, and I had faith that God was going to see me through. I don't know how, but that was just my mindset at that time, was that God was going to see me through somehow. And needless to say, it's over 20 years now that I'm here in Hawaii. Obviously not broke, and we bought our house in 2007. We've had this amazing life, but before that, I had that faith. I had that inkling that God was going to take care of me, and he did, and everything was going well. And then it creeped in again, that broke mindset that, oh my gosh, if I put my card in, is it going to say negative? And how am I going to feel? I knew it was going to be this heavy burden on my shoulder. I knew I was going to have sweaty hands. I knew that I was going to feel anxious and embarrassed and ashamed, and all of these different feelings that are attached to feeling and being broke, so it crept in again, and I had to change that. So like I said, I had invested in this class to change my money mindset. And I'm going to tell you, investing in something like that is vital. And even if you can't invest that much money, right? There are a ton of things, a ton of resources online where you can change your money mindset for free. But you have to intentionally look for it. So once that crept in, I knew that I needed to change something. All right, so that's one story. I'm going to tell you another story because it kind of coincides with it. My son, every time we're sitting at lunch or dinner, we open the door so our dog can go in and out. And so there's flies that come into the house. For some odd reason, they're not bothering me. All right. So I don't have any issues with a fly. My son, on the other hand, continues to perpetuate the idea of the fly keeps bothering me. Here's a fly. Oh my gosh, I'm so irritated with a fly. Fly this, fly that, fly. So guess what? Because he keeps speaking it out loud, because he keeps that energy focused on the fly, that fly is constantly swarming around him. And I'm like, don't think about it, change the way you think about it, because you are attracting that fly. So what I'm trying to say is that when you have that broke money mindset, and you continue to perpetuate broke money mindset, that is what you will get, is that broke money mindset. So you need to consciously change it and shift it to what you really want. What do you really want? Do you want to be broke, or do you want to feel abundant?
Yeah, I was listening to Abraham Hicks this morning, and one of the things that she was saying was how, your vortex of energy, and when you inside you're saying, your spirit is like, I want this abundance and prosperity, I want all these great things, like it's meant for me. But then you are counteracting what you want by saying, why does this always happen to me? I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And you're basically, when you're trying to align with abundance and prosperity, or abundance period, or any good fortune or energy, it's like the radio station. It's like dialing, where's between that static to getting it really clear. And when you are, in confliction with yourself, with your spirit, with that divine spirit that you have, you're conflicting, and that's where the static is. And no wonder that transmission of abundance isn't coming, you're not receiving it clearly. So that's just a little visual for you.
Yes, exactly. It's that conflict. It's that you want something, but then there's that energy that's kind of preventing you from accepting that you can have that. And I understand that. I do understand that because sometimes when we see our bank account, right? You see your bank account and it's not where you want it to be, and you're wanting to have this abundant mindset, but you're seeing this, it can be conflicting and it can be confusing. So my suggestion to you is, and it goes back to faith. For me, it goes back to faith. Faith is believing, not seeing, it's believing. So look at that bank account, believe it, believe it, believe it, believe it. And once you believe it, things change, your energy changes, and things just kind of work out for the better. One of the things that an exercise, okay, here's an exercise. When you see a penny on the floor, okay, this is a part of changing your mindset. When you see a penny on the ground, pick that penny up. That is $1 million. You look at that penny, you're like, whoa, I got $1 million. You see a dime, I got $200. So now you're changing the way that you look at this penny, because each time you add that penny, it's like God just kind of giving you this, abundance, this feeling of like, hey, I'm gonna give you a gift, right? And it's there. So pick that penny up and feel that it's coming your way.
Yeah, one of the things that I do when I find a penny or a dime, and I find them all over my house, I'll see it and I'll like pick it up and I'll just, lift it up and I'll say, show me what you can do with this universe, multiply this by quadruple this, multiply it, times it by 1,000. I'm always saying by 1,000, multiply this by 1,000, universe. Like, show me what you can do. Show me the power of your divine abundance, And when you throw out a command out there, the universe is a part of you. There is no separation, or God, if there's no separation, or, whatever you want to call your divine source or your faith, whatever it is, there's no separation between you and I, so you are one. And once you start stepping into that, changing that mindset, stepping into that, you start thinking of solutions. It starts coming, that transmission comes to you clearly. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, now I know how. Oh, okay, now I got this. Oh, here comes opportunity. Here comes opportunity. Boom, 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 boom. And it's abundant. And you're like, I don't know. Oh my God, this is great. Like, which one do I choose?
Yes. I mean, once we change that perspective, and we're thinking that there is abundance. There is abundance out there. Then your energy changes. Once your mindset changes, your energy and everything changes. There was a video that I watched, John Maxwell. Love John Maxwell. And he has these Minute by Maxwell videos. So it's nice because it's only a minute. And his topic was, there's an answer to a problem. There's always an answer to a problem. And I love that because we're not focused on the problem. Because sometimes, and I've done this, okay, I've done this many times where I'm just focused on the problem and I dwell on it, and then I start digging that hole, and I dig that hole and I'm like, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that, and then this, and oh my gosh, I can go down that rabbit hole so deep. It's hard to climb back out, but you can. That's what I'm trying to say. Even if you dug your hole, you can get out of that hole. You can choose to get out of that hole and know that there is an answer to that problem.
Yes. All right. So number 3 is brainstorm action steps, and kind of slide right in there with a whole mindset shift. So brainstorming action steps.
So the other thing I wanted to share, right, was that when we brainstorm our action steps, that gives us, it's another pen to paper, right? It's pen to paper because you got to see it. You got to make that map. Having a map in place is vital because that gives you solutions. It gives you like a way to, it's like a bird's eye view of like, oh, all right, well, I do have like these options that I can do, that I can take. So one visual that I love was from a video on Netflix, a documentary on Netflix, and it talked about money in your closet. And I know Helen has mentioned this before. So now when I look in my closet, I see dollar signs, and so if you do not have the funds right now, you can look in your closet and see, well, what is it that I can sell? So that's another, like, as far as brainstorming, that's another action step. Pen to paper, look in your closet, start putting, what you can sell, right? So that's number one, is selling. So brainstorm all the action steps that you can take in order to achieve what you want. I hope that makes sense.
Definitely makes sense. I mean, if anybody who knows me, I am super big on action steps. I've got a list of things that you can do, they're action steps. But I love what you said about the visual. I'm a very visual person. Vision boards are super huge for a lot of people who do a lot of manifesting. If you've never done one, definitely Google it or watch videos on it. They're super easy, super fun to do. For me, somebody who travels quite a bit, I started making vision books. So I started putting together all these PDFs. It was just faster for me. And then I had them printed off. So I had these vision books along with affirmations in each book. And it's phenomenal how many pages have already come into fruition. Like, it's crazy. And then, of course, I've got my goal list. And my goal setting and goal lists are out of control. Talking about that pen and paper, I like to have everything broken down. Like, I like to have my action sheets, what I've done every single day for baby steps forward into the direction that I'm trying to go as far as my goals. Then I've got my workout goals, and then I've got my spiritual goals. Then I got my personal goals, my house goals. I'm obsessed with goals, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know there's a lot of people out there that debates it and says it's exhausting. To each their own. You should know yourself, and if you don't, get to know yourself, because then you'll know what you can handle. For me, I thrive on goals. I love it. It's challenging. It's competitiveness for my own self. So yeah, definitely with the visuals, definitely with writing it down.
Yeah, and it's important to write like the action steps. Both Helen and I are action, people. We walk the walk, talk the talk, and action is vital, because um you can constantly think about it, and what is it? But if you're not taking action, right, you can talk about it, talk and talk and talk. But if you are not taking action, then you're not moving your needle forward. You are not going forward. So brainstorm the action steps that you can take. One, trying to sell something. Two, there are multiple streams of income that you can do. In fact, so I'm thinking 10x, right? I'm thinking to level up. I'm all about leveling up. So yes, I hit my first threshold. I want to hit the next threshold. And obviously after I hit that threshold, I want to hit another one. So there's all these different things that I want to do. So I was brainstorming and I was thinking, the reason I was thinking about this was because of Helen. Helen talked about a gumball machine, and she talked about a gumball machine that her son had bought, and her son had put it in a friend's place, and he earned $5. Well, I just started thinking like, that's amazing. So I went down the rabbit hole in terms of like brainstorming ideas, and I started researching vending machine businesses. So that is what I've been doing for the past week. So there are multiple streams of income. Okay. Vending machine is one of them. So if you're thinking about, hey, I'm broke, I need more money. Mister, there is a lot of money out there. I'm just going to put it there. There is a lot of money out there to be made. The issue is you gotta take that action. So vending machine. So that's one. So just brainstorm. There are so many various ways to earn income. Get a side gig. There's all these different things that you can do. Whatever you're passionate with. If you're artsy, creative, use that, sell that, go to a pop-up, or here was one thing. One of the financial advisors had advised this lady because she likes drawing and she loves dogs. So she would go to a dog park, and the financial advisor said, draw a sketch of that dog, of the person's dog, and say, here, this is a free gift, and I love dogs. If you need somebody to watch your dog or whatever, walk your dog, dog sit, I'm here. That was another form of income. So be creative. Anyway, there's a lot. So brainstorm your ideas.
Yes. All right. Number 4, Take action. Oh, it just slips right in. So everything we just talked about, now you just got to do it. One of the things I want to mention though is taking action, going back to the subject of, wanting to think abundantly, but feeling broke or being broke at the time. I remember when I came back from Africa and I didn't have a vehicle, and it's like 120 Fahrenheit over in Phoenix, Arizona. Like, it's hot. Okay. Like, you could die outside. It's that crazy. And I thought, how am I going to get to work? And I had to find a job. I was like, oh my gosh, here I got to find a job now. I spent all my money traveling. So first thing I did is I got back. Okay. And I started sending out my resumes, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do 10 a day minimum, 10 a day. Even if some of the things I don't qualify, I'm going to say to myself, I'll win them over. I'll show them how great I can do it. And I just hit apply, send. Because if I overthought about it, I would stop myself and I would tell myself, oh, you might not be good enough. Oh, they might not choose you because of this and that. And I was like, nope, send. So I was like 10 resumes a day. And then I ended up getting like a part-time job, started riding the bus. I was like, okay, there I go. So you see, there's a step forward. Okay. Started making money. Then I purchased a bicycle. And I was like, okay, it's really hot outside, but I can, ride to a bus station and put my bike on the bus. Do you see how that built up? So it went from no job, finding a job, putting out resumes, saving money to buy a bicycle. Through that, saved money to buy my first car, cash. Well, once I got back, my first car from that. So you're taking steps forward and you're climbing the ladder slowly and surely. But the thing is if I stayed in that poor me, woe is me, what am I going to do, instead of going, okay, here's the plan. Here's the tangible plan to move forward and slowly build myself back up. I didn't see myself in a hole. I saw myself as coming back from this amazing experience. And now I was just at a new beginning. It was a new beginning and a new level I was at. Okay. It was just a new level in this game of life. I was like, all right, here we go. It's time to play. It's time to play.
Helen, how did you get yourself out of that though? Because when you're in a broke mindset, sometimes the woe is me can actually engulf us, and it can actually put us in a whole different, mind frame. So how did you get out of that hole?
I gotta say, my mom was my biggest cheerleader. She was, because my mom was a single mom of 5 kids. I've talked about it plenty of times. Like, she's been broke. She's been poor. She was, she took us into shelters and battered women's homes and sleeping in the cars and waking up in parks. So she was the beginning. I'd like to say my mom was my coach, my life coach for so long. So it was her. And then it was the book, Think and Grow Rich. So with those two combinations, I learned, okay. And it's so easy to slip into, woe is me. Oh my God. Because you're scared, you're frustrated, you're angry. You have all of these negative feelings that just suck you down into this like tornado of sadness. Like, how did I find myself in this situation? But then, like I was saying, the way that I've always viewed life, and it goes back to a young age, and it's probably something that I used to protect myself, was life is a game. It's like a video game. And I'm a winner. I'm going to win. I'm very competitive as it is. So when I started viewing my life like it was a game, like I said, I came back from Africa. I didn't have anything. And I thought, okay, I'm a winner. I'm going to view it like a game. All right. And my senses are my superpowers, sight, hearing. And then, so I just started like just believing in myself. And when I'd hear my negative self-talk, because there was a lot, I remember I was like, okay, Think and Grow Rich. Like, I have to change it. I have to figure out how to change it. So I'd hear it in my head and I'd be like, delete. And I'd try to change it. Even if in the beginning, I was faking it till I made it. I was. And it's okay, because some people say, don't do that, whatever. Doesn't matter what the terms are. It's the feeling behind the words. And the feelings to me was like, I'm doing this. I'm trucking it. It's slow, but it's happening. Yeah.
Yes. Let me just give you 2 snaps, because for sure, sometimes you have to fake it. You gotta fake it, first, to believe it. And so, but I love that your mom was your cheerleader. That is key. So having somebody in your corner, that will uplift you, that will, when you're feeling defeated, because I know I've had that feeling, feeling of defeat, feeling of discouragement, feeling of, I'm not good enough, the imposter syndrome, all of these things that are negative self-talk. So it's vital to have that somebody in your corner that's going to push you and that's going to cheer you on. So yay for mom to be cheering you on. And yay for you for reading that book, Think and Grow Rich, because an important book to change your mindset.
I will say one other thing too. When I read Think and Grow Rich, and then I started reading, other books on changing your mindset and changing your belief in who you are. And I was talking about fake it till you make it, or, just believing and stepping out in faith, right? Those are other terms you can use. One of the things I did was Jay-Z has this famous quote, and he says, I am my business, man, because he is the brand of his business. And I started thinking of myself like a business. I was like, okay, I am the brand of my business. And at the time I knew nothing about business, but I realized, how do I see myself in a better light? So I created business cards for a business I never had. So, and I called it Multiple Achievers, and I wrote my name on there, and I wrote my email, and my little tagline, I think was I'm successful at everything I do. You want to know me, or something like that. And I'd go to these little networking events, these free events. And here I am, when I first got my car, I was like driving to them, and I was showing up. Hi, yeah, I'm the owner of Multiple Achievers LLC. I didn't even have an LLC at the time either. It was just my way to see how people view me if I said, this is who I am my business. And I learned very fast you really can't fake it around other business people, because they start asking questions, like deep questions about business. And you're like, but you know what? It was such an experiment for me. It was such an experience for me, because I changed my view of who I was. And today I am the owner of Sexy Freedom LLC. I am a businesswoman. I am a boss babe. So, you really call it into existence, no matter which way you look at it, so yeah, I definitely put myself out there.
And I love that you did that, because you stepped outside of your comfort zone. Even though you didn't have the LLC, even though you didn't have a business at the time, you were like, screw it, I'm going to just do it. And that is action. That is action right there, because you were changing the way that you feel. And that is the one thing that I do want to share, is that we can create the life that we want. And a lot of the times what's setting us back is our fear. What's setting us back is our own mindset. We are the ones that are preventing ourselves from moving forward. And for me, before, there was a moment where I did have that lack, right? That what is it? Broke mindset, right? And there are actually people out there who have money and still have a broke mindset. So I do want to acknowledge that too, because there are people out there who have, money that they can pay their bills, they can pay their credit cards, they have food on the table, they have a house, but yet they still have a broke mindset. And I do want to address those people too, because it really is all about the mindset. I'm going back to that, because just like what Helen said, she changed how she feels and who she is, because she intentionally said, this is what I'm going to be. And that is what I want to share with everyone in our, who's listening at this moment, is that you can create the life you want, but you need to just make that decision. So that's number one. Make that decision that you want to be and feel abundant. You want to be that business owner. You want to 10x or level up. You want to have an amazing love life, an amazing husband, an amazing wife, an amazing partner. You want that. All right, think of it. think of it, think of it, think of it. You know, once there is magic when you start thinking of something and you dream it, you constantly dream it. It goes back to the vision board. You know, it goes back to manifesting all these things. You manifest and you think about what it is that you want. I think that's first and foremost when we talk about taking action. The first step in taking action is making that decision into what and who you want to be, because you can do it.
I love it, January. I also wanted to provide a resource for anybody out there who is feeling stuck or broke, or, you know, what can I do? How do I get forward? How do I move forward? You know, we live in a virtual world now. We spend a lot of time, like you were mentioning earlier, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you know, Twitter. So one of the things you can do, and I've said this multiple times, is a great resource is Facebook groups. Join because a lot of people say, oh, I don't have friends. I don't have cheerleaders. I don't have anybody in my life. Well, you do. You just got to reach out. They're there. Like we said, act like you already have it. So join a Facebook group. You know, there's Millionaire Mindset for women. There's wealthy women. There's entrepreneurial women. And if you're a man, there's those also. You know, it doesn't matter what group you join. Just join a group. Start connecting, start joining whatever they have, lives, if they have events, you know, reach out to people. In all the books they say, and all the successful books I've read, a lot of them mention spending $10 and taking somebody wealthy out to eat and picking their brain. Well, you know, if you're intimidated by that idea, you can now do it online. You can reach out to somebody and say, hey, I would love just to connect with you over Zoom. Let's have a Zoffy. That's coffee and Zoom. You buy a little certificate online, shoot it to them. Basically, you bought them a coffee, or you can go and buy us a coffee, you know, and say, hey, I just want to sit down and talk with you and just network. I don't want anything from you. I just want to get to know you and ask questions about, you know, your life. Boom. There you go. Now, there's a lot of coaches out there who will charge high dollar for their time, which I don't blame them. Time is valuable to everybody. But there are people who will give you 15, 20 minutes of their time if you just reach out to them and just say, hey, let me buy you a coffee, or let me just talk to you, or whatever. You know, so don't be afraid to step forward in that, because, you know, or feel the fear and do it anyways, is what I'm basically trying to say.
So I actually have not met Helen Edwards in person. I have not met her in person. We have been friends through Zoom. And let me tell you how I met her. So I met her just like what she was saying. I was a part of a women entrepreneurs group, and I saw her picture and I said, oh, I want to know this woman. Because she embodied something I felt like I wanted to be. I wanted to embody that sexiness. You know, I wanted to embody that that strength, that confidence. So I reached out to her and I just said hi. I said, hi, I want to and I think at the time, like I've been thinking about writing a book, right? So I really do want to write a book about entrepreneurs. I want to write a lot of books, actually, a children's book, you know, book about women entrepreneurs. So I reached out to her. I said, hey, can I interview you? I wanted to interview her. So I got her on my own podcast, and I was asking her questions on my own podcast at the time. And to be honest with you, I had no idea what I was doing with this podcast. I just knew that I liked going live. So I liked going live because it was instant interaction. It was instant, like, okay, people are talking, people are interacting. It was nice. So I had my podcast on Facebook Live. Never really recorded it, but it was just a matter of, hey, let's just get together. Long story short, I'm so happy that Helen and I have met through the Women Entrepreneurs Group, because you have definitely like leveled me up, Helen. Like, you have the energy that you give to me, the value that you give to me is amazing. I can't even explain it. So yeah, get that person in your corner that's going to uplift you. Get that person in your corner that's going to change your mind frame, because sometimes it's challenging to do by yourself, but when you have another person that's like, girl, this is what I did, and let me tell you, and she's then you're like, wait, what? You can do it? Oh, okay, I could do it too. So high five.
I love it. Yeah, that's so wild. You're right. We are the perfect example of connection and how far it can go. I mean, I think about that a lot too. Like, wow, you reached out to me. I was on your show. I was looking for a co-host. You just happened to apply for it. And then I was like, you're perfect. And it's been amazing ever since. And it's even getting better. So thank you, January. All
All
right.
right, so number 5.
Yeah. Okay. Number 5, feed your mind positive money verbiage or affirmations.
So, it goes back to money mindset, right? And there are free things out there. If you have Spotify, Pandora, and you just write the word money on there, and you will find all these amazing podcasts about money. I'm sure iTunes is free, right? I believe it's free. The podcast. So you can also search money. Warren Buffett is a great person to listen to. Ramsey, Dave Ramsey, Grant Gordon. So I'm actually in a 5-day course right now. So it's free. It's a free 5-day course. And I love what I'm learning so far. And it's about, business. It's about even about changing your mindset. And that's a free course that you can take. You don't have to do the coaching, right? Because at the end of it, it is a pitch. At the end of it, they're gonna be like, hey, here's like our coaching, whatever, and here's how much. You can choose to do it, or you can choose to just gain value from that free stuff. So there are a lot of free things that you can feed yourself today, right now, after this podcast, and just start listening to that money mindset. Give yourself 21 days. 21 days is that magic number. I love the number 21, so that's why I'm saying 21. But there's also a psychological thing about consistently doing something for 21 days, because then it becomes a habit. So that is my suggestion to you, is that find a podcast, find a YouTube, something that you can listen to change that money affirmation. It will change you. I promise you, it's going to change you inside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Feed, the word feed, it's so powerful because it's just like what you feed your body, with food. And they say you are what you eat, and you are what you listen to, and you are what comes into your vortex, into your kingdom. I like to say the kingdom. Yes, queen. Yes, king. Protect the throne, protect the mind, body, and spirit. The reason I talk about protect the throne is because there is a lot of distractions out there. So be very careful what you do feed yourself with. If you're with somebody who's just continuously throwing negativity your way, or toxic out there, they're also a woe is me type of person. You just want to nip it in the ass right away. Like just that whoop, zip, zip, like we ain't got time for that. Like I'm building a empire within myself, because I know if it starts with me, it's going to just blossom outside of me. So be very wise and weary of and conscious of what you feed your mind.
There's a story. It's a Cherokee story about a grandfather talking to a son. Do you know that story, Helen? And I love that story. It's something that I, consistently think about, because feeding. So the story goes that there are 2 wolves, and oh gosh, I'm gonna butcher it. Oh, here it goes. I got it. Hold on, because I want to do this right. Okay, this is important. All right, so here's the story. It's an ancient tale. It's a Native American tale, and the story says that which one do you feed? There are 2 characters, the grandfather and the grandson. The grandfather explains to his grandson that there are 2 wolves fighting within him, which is an image that serves as a metaphor for the man's inner sense of conflict. So I have a fight going on in me, the old man said. It's taking place between 2 wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false, pride, superiority, and ego. Ego's probably the biggest. The grandfather looked at the grandson and went on, the other embodies positive emotions, joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. Both wolves are fighting to the death. The same fight is going on inside of us. And every person right here that's listening at this very moment. Now, the grandson took a moment to reflect on this, and he looked at his grandfather and he asked, which wolf will win? And the grandfather said, the one you feed. I love that story.
Yes, the one that you feed the most. Wow. I mean, that's perfect. That's a perfect example. And I think we'll just close it on that. January, that was great. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Where can they find you, January?
They can find me at VIP Finance Builders on Facebook and also on Instagram. I am actually a financial strategist, a retirement specialist. I handle tax-free retirement accounts. So I'm looking to help you protect your money. So please find me on VIP Finance Builders on Facebook, on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn, January Liddell. If you Google me, you can find me. How can they find you, Helen?
All right. Yes, hell of a journey. And you'll see it right here. And go get my book if you don't have a copy. Nothing sexier than okay, there we go. Nothing sexier than freedom. It's a rated R, rated X, but self-help / spiritual / adventurous book for women. Go get your copy. It's available on Amazon and Audible. And like we said earlier, please subscribe if you haven't, and share this if you've learned anything or if you've found anything of interest, and buy us a coffee. We like coffee. So that's how you can help support our podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.
Aloha.
Want to hear more?
Visit us at SexyFreedomMedia.com.